Thank you so much for that introduction, Ravi. I definitely appreciate it and certainly appreciate this opportunity to be before you all. My name is Danielle Lusby. I am the leader of Legacy Leaders Education Consulting. I am our strategic planning director as well as our chief executive officer. I additionally serve in the Naperville Community Unit School District 203 as an outreach and student belonging director. And I am happy to also serve as a conscious ambassador of trauma-informed care in both of those spaces. So today I am going to talk to you a little more about the Naperville Unit School District and how we have incorporated the Conscious Ambassador of Trauma-Informed Care guidance, specifically from the Basic Principle 2. There are three main initiatives that we have covered with the inclusion of our Conscious Ambassador training, and I'm happy to present that information to you today. To start out with Naperville 203, it is a nationally ranked school district. It currently is ranked as 25 of over 10,000 school districts in America. It is one of the highest performing and largest school districts in Illinois, serving more than 16,000 students. The city of Naperville itself is made up based on the 2020 census of 69.8% white demographic, 20.5% Asian demographic, a little over 6.5% Hispanic or Latino demographic, and a little over 4% for the Black demographic. Median household income is $128,000, and the median tax property rate is $11,000, which is important information as it regards the school district, because that is where the Naperville Unit School District receives its funding, as many public school districts do. Now, as it regards the district itself, there are 1.2 million meals served annually for students, ranging from those who have free and reduced lunch as well as grant-funded lunch programs that we have. You can see our percentage of staff with master's degrees, so we consider ourselves to be a district that has highly qualified instructors, 16-to-1 student ratio. We have a high graduation rate, 96%, and overall, we are at a little under 17,000 students in our district that is made up of 23 different school buildings. Those school buildings break down to approximately 22 schools. And I say approximately because we do have one transitional building that consists of our ALOP program, as well as that umbrella covers our Connections program for students with IEPs that receive services up to the age of 22. We have 15 elementary students or elementary buildings, 5 junior high school buildings, and all of those students ultimately feed into our 2 high schools, which is Naperville Central High School and Naperville North High School. Those 16,995 students are broken down demographically based on what you see here. This is based on the 2022 Illinois report card and its comparison rates from the state of Illinois. So you see overall, not just the percentage of students, but also the actual numbers of students who are attending our 22 to 23 school buildings, depending on their placement. This is important information as it regards one of our main initiatives under the Conscious Ambassador of Trauma-Informed Care training and guidance. Of that total amount of students, we have one of the lowest low-income rates in Illinois for our students. You can see the state average is 46.5, while ours is a little over 15% for the Naperville School District. Those 16,995 students are instructed by this spreadsheet or graph of our teaching staff. So just as we have the largest number of white student demographics in the district, we also have the largest demographic of white teachers making up that instructional staff in our district. This flyer is what we you will constantly see anytime you look up information about the Naperville School District as it regards the vision and the mission. This mission specifically was something that we just came up with as a district leadership team at the beginning of last school year. We had some good criteria that we felt was a descriptor of our mission, but we wanted to use a more collective voice from all of our district stakeholders to come up with a thought exchange that lent itself to narrowing down these specific components. And then if you take the time to visit our website, you'll see that those specific components are broken down even further as it regards the 5 that you see there: self-directed learner, collaborative worker, complex thinker, quality producer, and community contributor. One of the reasons that we took a shift in the mission specifically was based on that basic principle 2 of the conscious ambassador of trauma-informed care framework of looking inward. After doing some work with our district administrators, in particular, our assistant superintendent of high schools, Dr. Shayla Holland, upon reflection, she determined that while we were a district of great value, we were not necessarily valuing the actual student stakeholders and family stakeholders within the district. And so from her lens and from her work, her experience as a district leader, she was able to push this change and not only restructuring some of our capacity in reference to some of our full-time staff, but also shifting the mission for the district and becoming more focused on looking at ourselves and what we wanted to see in students and making them these 5 components. So she introduced an advocacy team development plan to our superintendent. That advocacy team development plan falls specifically under the conscious ambassador basic principle 2, reflecting inward, as an essential step in unpacking beliefs and values that contribute to our understanding on ourselves and in the world, ourselves and others in the world, excuse me. What she wanted to really take a focused look at was the way that all of our students, after traveling through our district, the 22 buildings, if you started there in the district during kindergarten, you would transfer from our early childhood center to our kindergarten through 5th grade center into a junior high school, and then you'd ultimately land at one of our 2 high schools. And she believed that while those 22 buildings and those what would be 3 different experiences, because it would be the early childhood building, the K-5 building, and then leading into the junior high building, and ultimately a 4th landing you at one of the high schools. She believed that while those individual buildings had quality instruction and quality staffing, she did not feel that the experience for students truly reflected what we wanted the mission to state for the district. She did not believe that we were offering an opportunity for students to really embrace those 5 components without looking at how we ourselves would feel as a student during those school age years, transitioning through that many different buildings, the different administrators, the different teachers, the different student demographics and capacities, and the different offerings of the school, to only land at either Naperville Central or Naperville North. So she began by doing a really strategic focused look at our student voice and how they believe their experience was coming to be. She did that based on her own reflection of self. After that reflection and after working with students, she proposed to our superintendent new full-time and administrative positions that would help build out this inward reflection and would bring more advocacy to students to amplify their voice. Through her plan, the district implemented 2 director positions at the district level, outreach and student belonging directors. And I am fortunate to serve as one of our outreach and student belonging directors in the district. Our task was to service all of our feeder paths directly into the high schools where students ultimately land. I have the privilege of serving as the outreach and student belonging director for the Naperville Central High School path. So all of the buildings from early childhood, the elementary buildings, as well as the junior high school buildings that feed into Naperville Central, I support those 12 to 13 administrators at any given time and in any given administrative capacity during the school day and beyond. Additionally, at the high school, she developed 2 different positions, so that was 4 positions total across the high school, that are student advocacy specialists. Those capacity, or those staff work directly in our community resource centers, and they work in tandem with our dean's office with an effort to restructure the concept of in-school suspension to prevent student exclusion. I am happy to also share that Dr. Holland is a conscious ambassador of trauma-informed care, as well as all 4 of our student advocacy specialists at the district, serving in both high schools, and several of our deans. And so with this inward reflection that she began based on the basic principle 2, she was able to restructure the way that our district not only considered the inward reflection in our student experience, but also ensure that we were providing a more quality student experience for our District 203 stakeholders that truly reflected who they were. We are trying to create spaces where students have the opportunity to share with transparency and authenticity who they are and what they want District 203 to reflect in them as student leaders, to directly tie back to those 5 components of our district mission. In addition, we have also added an admin academy for all of our administrators that was approved through the Illinois State Board of Education. As an outreach and student belonging director in the district, one of my components, the components of my capacity, is professional development. Through my Legacy Leaders Education Consulting business, I was able to offer restorative certified training for our leaders in the district. This framework that you see is what is used to conduct that class. And not only were we able to offer this 6-hour credit course to our administrators, but again, we were able to get it approved through the Illinois State Board of Education. So our leaders are able to get their, or were able to get their Admin Academy credits for this course. This course also challenged them, as you can see in that very first component of activating background knowledge and the restorative continuum, all the way through the end of the framework, which again directly ties to the conscious ambassador of trauma-informed care, basic principle 2, the self-assessment and experiential learning. This gave all of our leaders the opportunity to truly apply the restorative continuum from an educational standpoint in the restorative practices lens, as well as sustain the capacity of their staff to continue to push the implementation from the administrative standpoint. So everyone from our superintendent down to even our athletic directors in our high school and our department leaders as well are all trained restorative leaders through our framework and through this push of really creating an inward reflection for better outcomes. Lastly, we were able to use the conscious ambassador framework and the lens to develop a superintendent student advisory council. And again, this work was a direct reflection of our outreach and student belonging director capacity and our student advocacy team. We selected students from 6th through 12th grade based on principal recommendations and brought them together for several meetings. And we asked them to talk to us about their experiences and what they hope to see as they move forward. This inaugural group has now become an opportunity to create more advisory councils within each of our 22 buildings to continue to amplify student voice. And you'll see right in the middle of all of these smiling faces is our superintendent, Mr. Dan Bridges, who again was able to lend his ear to our assistant superintendent, Dr. Holland, who began really the ball rolling on reflecting inward all of our conscious ambassador of trauma-informed care training and really truly amplifying student voice from a restorative perspective as well. I hope this information gives you some insight to ways to build the capacity of reflecting on self and truly giving students and school districts an experience that makes their self seen, that really makes themselves seen and heard. I also hope it gives you the opportunity to reach out to me for any restorative leadership training, as well as any information that regards to Naperville Community Unit School District 203 and how we are constantly working to really make our mission statement stand firm in the lives of our students and families.